Your boy Johnny Olden is back to talk college football with us because, of course, they got to talk their Michigan game. It's all good. But first, let's talk about Alabama versus Cincinnati. Let's kind of break things up and talk about Alabama's offense versus Cincinnati's defense. What we think?
From what I know about Cincinnati is they say they have a good secondary with like one or two NFL type corners. But going against Bama, the thing Cincinnati going against Bama's offense is they ain't played nobody with that type of talent this year. I mean, you could say Georgia last year, but they had a lot of dudes that didn't even play in that game. So I don't really count that. But you're playing against a different beast for Alabama's offense. You got the Heisman winner, and these dudes, they smelling championship. They don't go to Bama to just make the playoff. They go to get a ring.
Win, right? Yeah,
exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if it get ugly, but you never know. I'm kind of ready to see what Cincinnati really has. Okay, y'all had it. Y'all been complaining and crying. Now y'all in. So you got a task. You got a task now.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Cincinnati secondary, but going up against Bryce Young and Jamison Williams, like that's got to be a tough task for literally any team in college football right now.
Yes, sir.
I look at this with Cincinnati's defense. They have to be very opportunistic. There are a couple of chinks that you can exploit, right? Their offensive line being one of them. Right, their offensive line had their best game all year in the SEC championship game. And much like I hear a lot of people talking about Georgia, that was just one game that doesn't delete the whole season. Well, apply that to Bama's offensive line. Struggled against Auburn, struggled against LSU. Those are teams that they were not expected to have a whole lot of trouble against. So there's an opportunity there, right? They have to take advantage of that. They got to use their playmakers on defense, Sauce Gardner, their secondary. If Bryce Young, if they're able to get pressure on him, right, he may throw an errant pass or two. You got to take advantage of that. But if you kind of do what Georgia did in the SEC championship game, you got them on the ropes, but you don't pedal down. You don't take control of the game. You let it stick around too much. Then they get rolling. All of a sudden, they done scored 3 touchdowns on you, and you don't know which way is which.
Definitely a tough task for a team like Cincinnati to do against a powerhouse in Alabama.
Yeah.
They haven't faced anything like this.
On the other side of the ball, we've got Cincinnati's offense versus Alabama's defense. Thoughts on that?
Cincinnati's offense, I'm not going to front like I know a lot about their offense, but the quarterback, everything runs through their quarterback from what I've seen, and it's on him. Now, going against Bama's defense, like we were just talking about, they haven't seen a defense like this. The best defense they played was Notre Dame, and Notre Dame ain't on that level. Bama was smacked Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? When they get in the playoff, we know what happens. So with that being said, it's like their quarterback, he's gonna have to play one of the best games of his life. Now, with the coaching, you want to, of course, try to run the ball to take some pressure off of him, or either get some, screens and stuff to manufacture a running game. But he's going to have to play the game of his life, honestly, or the best game by far this season, because Alabama's, they not scrubs on defense. And they got Will Anderson, the defensive player of the year. Dude's got about 14, 15 sacks, something like that. Their quarterback, he's going to have to play a hell of a game. Like, I hate to just put it all on him on offense, but that's what it's pretty much been for them. From what I saw on offense, it's on him. It's going to be on his offensive line to give him time and his receivers to actually get open in those zones. Because from what I've seen, Bama runs a lot of zones. That's right?
Yeah.
So Bama's running a lot of zones. So his receivers have to be smart when they're running their routes, manipulating the zone. And he has to be smart also to know, okay, I have to wait for him to get past this man and be patient in the zone and not just try to force it. Because that zone makes you have to be patient. Okay, go on long, meticulous drives. And then when the big play is there, okay, now I take it. but you can't just force it. Then you're going to end up like Stetson Bennett or somebody with 2-3 picks, and Bama going to be in the championship at halftime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bama does a lot of disguising, right? So they'll show you, man. They'll come out flattened out. You run a man across motion. They'll send somebody across. They'll show you, man, and end up being cover 2. It ended up being Tampa 2, right? Or they'll have a cover 1 with a robber in the middle of the field. Like they'll give you a lot of different looks. And by the way, they just have one of the best pass rushers in the country. So it's really not fair because there's really not too much of a weakness at a certain level. I think what you have to do with Bama is show that you can have those longer, meticulous drives. And the thing that I have seen out of Desmond Ridder, the few times that I've seen Cincinnati play, Notre Dame, Tulsa, and then the championship game versus Houston, is that when they do have them game-defining drives, it is usually like him dinking and dunking down the field. They're not an offense that's going to get 70 in 3 plays. That's not really what they do. They got that. They have the Alabama transfer at running back, the dude Ford. He's picked up 1,000 yards this season. He's looked good, so they do lean on their running game. They've got a big play possession receiver who's put up a lot of yardage, somebody that's probably going to pull Alabama's attention. And then they have great tight end play. So offensively, I think they have tools to move the ball. It's just, number one, can they keep Ridder up? Can they keep him standing upright? Dream scenario for Cincinnati and all of this, they keep Alabama under 30. They keep them under 30 by getting some turnovers. That's hard. It's hard to do.
Especially for a team like Cincinnati.
Dream scenario is what I'm saying, right? They keep them under 30, get a couple turnovers, and then Ridder, in turn, is able to play just above what would be his normal. So who's everybody taking? Who?
Bama. That being said, roll tide. It's gonna be roll tide.
Josh,
you know we've had multiple conversations about this. I want Cincinnati to win this so bad.
You are so
the last
gross.
thing I need is an SEC team winning the national championship. So come on, Desmond Ridder, make it happen. Come on, Luke Fickell.
Y'all did not even hear what this man just said. He said the worst thing would be for an SEC team to make it to the championship or to win the championship, assuming that the Big Ten team that's in the championship is going to lose. All that. Rooting for Cincinnati. Nick Saban losing to Luke Fickell in a playoff game is like, I don't know, man. I don't have the metaphor ready already, but it's
David and Goliath.
Pretty unbelievable. Yeah, a little more than that. It's unfathomable. I can't put my mind together and make that make sense. How that happens? How he loses to Cincinnati in a playoff game? No, Bama.
Now, on to the big game, at least in you guys' eyes, Michigan versus Georgia. So let's talk about Michigan's offense versus Georgia's defense. K. McNamara, Hassan Haskins.
He know them names. Remember.
Unfortunately.
So, of course, we all know this. Michigan wants to run the ball. That's what we do. That's what we're going to do. Regardless of if it's working or not, we're going to still run it. That's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, the chess game is, if it is going slow, how are we going to manufacture a run game? Because, you got the extensions of the run game with your flat passes, your little screens, things like this, your reverses, all that trickeration, and also JJ coming in. So that's what we're going to do, that regardless of if we're just handing it off to Haskins and it's working. We're going to do all that other extensions of the running game. So we have to make sure that if they are actually stopping Haskins and stuff like that, that we can still manufacture those yards to get some type of run game. Now, the one thing that you might see and probably will see to open it up early for Haskins and Corum and Edwards. You'll probably see us throwing more on first downs and trying to, get a little bit ahead, and also open up their defense a little more, make their defense back up. Like, okay, they're not just running it up the middle on first down. They hitting us with play actions and stuff like that to open it up a little more. Now with Georgia's defensive front, they do a lot of twists and stunts and stuff like that to get pressure. So we just need to make sure the offensive line knows what's coming in. And the one thing I'm glad about for this game is it's horrible waiting, but we got a month. They had a month to prepare for what Georgia brings to the table with all those twists and stunts and things like that. Because regardless of what we say, if you watch the film, like, them boys and them twists and stunts, they coming. Like, It's just Bama was prepared for it, and then you got Bryce Young with his legs. So I'm kind of anxious to see how we handle those things, because we really haven't faced the front that good like them. And, we've got a good or great offensive line. So I'm trying to see that. But Michigan has so many weapons, and Gaddis has all this time to scheme up extensions of the running games, trick plays. We run flea flicker almost every game now. And just things like that. Donovan Edwards and JJ, all these dudes has extra time. So you can add a lot of wrinkles over a month.
I see it mostly the same way. Offensive line, Michigan's offensive line, they done made me a believer. It made me a believer until somebody showed me that they could shut it down. And I mean, like, shut it down. Like, we get $150 versus Georgia's defense. That's going to be better than 90% of the people that they play. So they showed me that what they're going to do in terms of the running game, like you said, is they're going to force you to stop it, right? So now, inevitably, when Georgia brings that safety down into the box to stop the run, now what do? What's your counter, right? I do believe they have a lot of that RPO wrinkles that they can add. A lot of those reverses, maybe a wrinkle off the flea flicker, because you're right, they almost run in the flea flicker like it's play action now. The guys we got to keep our eye on, right? Nakobe Dean. I think he's going to be one of the guys, because with Georgia, if you look at them, they do stun a lot on the defensive line, but when they're getting a lot of sacks, it's a lot of linebacker pressures, right? They're middle guys, Nakobe Dean, they do a good job of getting pressure, and when they're getting sacks, those are usually the guys that are getting it. Jordan Davis is a big mofo, but he can tire out. We can work around Jordan Davis.
The tempo.
Big 99. If we can add some tempo to our offense, like you said, we can get rolling. We can start throwing the ball, kind of how like we did in Michigan State, right? They start packing the box. They start ganging up on Hassan. All of a sudden, Cade hitting boys all over the field. And we've seen Georgia secondary can be susceptible when the passer has time.
How many yards do you think Cade McNamara is going to get throwing the ball?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we need about 225 to win. But I think he'll come out with around 250, 260.
I would agree. Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be about at least 200.
Yeah.
Probably more, depending on now if we get the trick plays like Donovan Edwards did, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, it's gonna be about 200 or more. Probably 225, maybe even 250. Might need 250 to get out of there against them.
Because I would think they would key in on the rush. So.
And it also depends. This is the problem when we talk about Michigan, because they bring in JJ and sometimes you don't even notice. Like, like when we played OSU, they put in JJ, he threw a dime on the sideline to Roman Wilson. I was like, that's Cade? Me and my pops were just talking about it. He was like, my pops is an old school. Man, I don't like that Michigan quarterback. That boy can't throw. Then we see that dime. I'm like, we look at each other. I'm really like, oh, that's JJ. That's JJ. Okay, that makes sense.
Shit.
So, JJ could come in, have 50 yards throwing or a little more, and then the run game too. So it kind of offsets a little bit to where Cade really doesn't. Because when JJ gets in and he makes a throw, it's a big throw. Yeah. Like it's a first down, 20, 30 yards or something. So that's in there too.
Okay. So what do you guys think about Stetson Bennett and Georgia offense versus Jabo, Aiden, the defense?
Well, for Georgia going against Michigan, and these teams, I know everybody that watched the videos know they're very similar. So you got Stetson Bennett, walk on, Bennett on the team for years. He's a game manager. He's Cade. Some people say he might be a little better than Cade or a little worse, but he's mobile, basically. He's a mobile game manager. So going against us, this one is simple. So you got a game manager quarterback, and you want to somewhat run the ball. So all we want to do, stop that run, and we want you to have to win it with your game manager. And in turn, get him Aiden, get him Ojabo, sick him. Like we letting the dogs loose. Get him. Go get him. And since he's mobile, when they do in certain passing downs, if that rush lane is there, because sometimes depending on how the D tackles play, there'll be a rush lane or opening in the middle. A thing that I might do, and we do it sometimes, I delay blitz him. So when he's going, because Aiden Ojabo, they gonna come around that edge. You can count on that, or bull rush. So when he gets that lane to step up, here comes that delayed blitz right on time. You ain't got nowhere to go. Like it works almost every time if it's ran correctly. You know what I'm saying?
Even with the lightened schedule, they got two backs that have gone for 500 apiece. Not 1,000-yard back in sight. They're not very dominant running the football. So that makes me believe that we're going to be able to put them in the passing situations.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that puzzled me, seeing that they didn't have 1,000-yard back.
Right. But now you look in these chat rooms and stuff, Georgia fans thinking they got better backs than Michigan. And I'm trying to figure out
how.
Where? Yeah, where?
Hassan Haskins has more than both of your dudes together and one more touchdown. Like, what are you talking about? How? Corum got 900. Like,
I don't think it's going to be very hard to force them into passing situations. Now, the wild cards in that is Brock Bowers. I like Daxton Hill being the matchup on him because he doesn't get the ball in common spots for tight ends. If he was catching the ball on 5 or 10-yard curls or 5-yard ends, regular tight end routes, then I say, okay, maybe throw the linebacker on him. Brock Bowers catches screen passes. Brock Bowers going up 40 yards down the seam. He might split out wide and run a 9 on your corner. Like, they throw to him all over the field. Put Dax Hill on him and maybe even put RJ over top of him if they're going to try to force the ball to him, because that Stetson loves to throw that man the ball.
That's his go-to. That's his go-to guy.
I got good enough faith in DJ Turner to match up with Pickens on the other side. If you can run with Olave and Wilson, you can run with Pickens.
All right. Well, definitely want to thank you for joining us once again for a nice little college football discussion. Let the people know where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Johnny Olden on YouTube. I'm just posting my videos pregame, postgame. I'm doing Q&As. I usually do lives on Sundays, and I'm just posting a bunch of Michigan content. I'm posting things that the players or fans might have posted at the games, and I'm reposting all this type of stuff. So it's just a lot of Michigan content just to enjoy and watch. So just check me out, Johnny Olden on YouTube.
Well, good luck to y'all, and we will see how everything shakes out in a couple weeks.